What's up, Camp Broadside? I'm your host, Troy Mosby. How y'all doing? Hey, I want to thank you for tuning in tonight. We got a great episode ahead of us. Tonight, we have my new friend, Mr. Tyler Cooper, joining us. I met Tyler in the KC area bow hunters page on Facebook, and he sent me a picture of a hammer of a buck he put down. So I wanted to get him on here and hear the story of this buck. So he's joining us, and we're going to do some gear talk. We're going to talk about some missed shots. We're going to talk about the good shots. You know what I'm saying? We're going to talk a little bit about everything. But before we jump off into that, if you haven't liked and subscribed to our page, I'd ask you to do that, please. We're just trying to grow a little bit here at Camp Broadside, you know what I'm saying? But without further ado, please help me give a big old Camp Broadside welcome to Mr. Tyler Cooper.
Troy's talking about the 10-point miss. Swears it was close, but it don't sound like it. Brandon's grinning, bragging about his dough. Bartlett's spike, well, we all know it's blood trails and bucktails. Round the fire where the whiskey sails. Every heart's a story, every shot's a chance. What's your story to tell? What's your...
I'm telling you, that shit was the craziest thing I ever seen.
What's up, Tyler Cooper? How you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, man. I'm really looking forward to. I'll be honest. I've been pretty excited the last couple of days when we be talking, and you sent me some more pictures and whatnot, and getting to talk to you today and whatever. I was like, man, I'm super excited about doing this tonight. So I'm really glad you're here. I appreciate it. I know it's a heck of a drive for you, so I really appreciate you doing that, man. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, no, I just love, I live to hunt deer and I love talking deer. So any opportunity that I can, I'd love to. So I appreciate the invite to come down.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so I posted it. I think it was in KC area bow hunters.
Mhm.
And Tyler had posted a picture of a super nice buck, man. And so I was like, man, we gotta get him on here. We gotta hear the story of this buck. And he actually sent me another one that he shot. I think you shot it last year as well, right?
Yep.
25.
So yeah, I shot it during rifle season with my bow. So.
Yep. So I was like, man, we gotta hear these stories. So here we are, man. And then I'm like, he brought some deadheads with him, and he brought some sheds. So we got some eye candy, and we're ready to roll, man. But before we jump off into that, man, if you wouldn't mind just kind of telling us who you are and a brief history, like maybe how you got into hunting and whatnot. And
Yeah. So Tyler Cooper, I'm a forester for the NRCS. So I've been in conservation jobs my whole life. My dad was a taxidermist. That's the only job he ever had. He did it from the age he was 16 until the day that he passed away. So I was pretty much didn't have an option. I was in the outdoors. He was always, crappie fishing in the summer. I remember there was pictures of me in a stroller with cotton in my ears, dove hunting.
Yeah.
So
nice.
I had no choice, but and I can't think of anything I'd rather do than be outside and hunting and fishing. So that's kind of my background. Went to Mizzou or the University of Columbia for forestry and wildlife degree, kind of again conservation oriented. From there, actually with my dad, we worked at a high fence ranch in southern Missouri, so got to be around a bunch of big deer. Obviously, they're pen raised deer, but still learned a lot about actually
for sure.
deer, habits and especially vocalization stuff like that.
What an excellent opportunity for you, though.
Oh.
Like you just said, learning the vocalization and habits and stuff, and
Yeah,
firsthand getting to learn that.
and it was super cool, and and it was a big enclosure. It was over 500 acres. So you kind of learned how deer, bedding and travel patterns and stuff, and it was all timber. So it's not what I hunt up here is a lot of segmented stuff, not a lot of timber, a lot of ag, and so a lot of those people, and I do agree. They talk about how easy it is in the Midwest when you get to that stuff, but I really learned a lot of woodsmanship down there because I hunted the Fair Chase property and stuff too. Not I didn't hunt high fence,
Yeah.
But that was a really cool opportunity. I really, really did enjoy that. After that, I worked with MDC, our Missouri Department of Conservation. Kind of moved up the ranks there. Got a job with the National Wild Turkey Federation as a forester. Did that for a few years, and then had the opportunity to get on, the federal side. So, and that's where I'm at now.
Yeah.
I didn't move up, up here until 2019. So, and that's when I got that NWTF job.
Nice.
And my dad was a huge waterfowl hunter, so and I am too. I love it, but we never had a ton of big deer down there, and we got on some good deer, but really got in, fell in love with chasing mature whitetails once I moved up here.
Gotcha.
So it's only been a short stint, 6-7 years now.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you've had some great success. That's for sure. Man.
I've been very lucky and blessed to
Yeah.
kill some pretty good deer. So.
Yeah. I always appreciate it and think about how the Lord blesses us with those moments. You know what I mean? Just being able to be out in the woods and then just not necessarily even just killing some of these monsters, but just being able to get a glimpse of them in the woods is a total blessing. You know what I mean? It's like, it's crazy.
Absolutely. I mean, I drew a Kansas tag this year. I mean, I missed a giant, probably 170-inch deer. And a lot of people, think I'm crazy, but it was 170 class inch, 8-point deer mainframe. And it was on walk-in. I had hunted a bunch of spots and, a lot of luck just to have a caliber deer, and I shot, an inch or two over his back. But it was after I'd already harvested these 2 deer in Missouri, and all my friends were like, man, that's terrible. I'm like, it sucks, but it was really weird. I was in such a good mood afterwards. I've never been in such a good mood after missing a deer because I just felt blessed to see a deer of that caliber.
Dude.
It's a world-class deer, and I don't know. It was on Thanksgiving morning, so
what happened? What caused you to miss? Do you think?
So I just misranged it. It was super, super fast, and I don't know what it is, but every time I have to judge a deer on the fly, and you would think I would learn this by now, I shoot over them. I always think they're further than they are. And this deer, there was a bunch of does feeding out in this field, and they'd all kind of worked past me, and I heard running, and I looked back, and they were all running back towards me, and I don't, like, they had been bumped by a coyote or something, and as soon as I turned back around, this deer had just come up out of this ditch, and he saw those does, and immediately he went to dog them. So it was basically like, from the time I saw the deer to the time I shot was, 30 seconds most.
I was going to say seconds.
Literally grabbed the bow off the hanger, drew and meant to stop the deer. And I just had to, and it was an open field, which to me is a lot, I don't know why, but everything in an open field seems like it's further, or it is usually further than I think it is. So that's why I just guessed him 40, 45, and he was 35. And
yeah,
he ducked a little bit because I think that 40 yards range is about the perfect storm for them to really duck an arrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, and everything felt really good. And I was like, I didn't hear that arrow hit that deer. I didn't see it. But it all felt so good.
Because you're like, I hit him.
I'd called my one buddy. I'm like, I would have swore I smoked this deer. I'm like, but I didn't hear it. I didn't see it, but he took off real quick. So I'll let you know. I'll get down, and my arrow was clean. It was dirt, and I just shot right over top of him.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's crazy, like you said, that it didn't bother you a bit. You know what I mean? I'm sure it bothered you a little bit.
Now I replay it and it haunts me. But like that day, I walked out with a smile on my face.
You're like, oh my God, I just
crazy.
seen that monster. You know what I mean? Yeah, for sure. What a blessing, though. Like you said, just to see him, man. That's crazy.
And, I've got, he's 168-inch clean 8-pointer that I had killed the first year I moved up here. So that's why everyone's like, are you sure that deer's that big? I'm like, I look at one every day.
Yeah.
That deer was that big.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome, man. At least you had that opportunity. You know
absolutely.
What I'm saying?
It was all on me at that point.
Yeah, for sure. But we've all been there. Everybody that's had put any time in this bow hunting, man, you've been there at least once. You know what I'm saying?
And we'll get to it, but both of these deer, prior to killing them in the same hunt, I released an arrow before.
Hey, this one here, the year prior, I shot him high. I don't know if he ducked. I don't really know what, like you said,
sometimes
it happened
it's a
so
blur.
fast. And that's right. It's like, I'm like, what happened? I'm like, I don't have a clue what happened. I thought I put it right on his heart, whatever. Mm-hmm. And he took off, and I'm like, I followed blood, never did find him. I'm like, man. Well, about 2 weeks later, I think it was, I got him on camera again, and I could see the wound. It was high on his back. And I was like, Oh my goodness! But at least he lived, is what my
Yeah.
thoughts were.
And even better, you got closure with them. But
Yeah, the next year, out of the same tree, here he come, and I didn't realize it was him,
hmm
and or at least that wasn't even in my mind. I thought I would honestly never see him again, but when I got to him, I'm like, man, he looks a lot like that deer last year. And I looked, and there was a fresh scar right there on the same spot on his high up on his back, and I was like, it's him, man. That's so crazy to
Yeah,
me.
that's so cool.
Yeah, but so you've been in it pretty much on your life. Have you been bow hunting all your life, pretty much?
Yep.
And,
Yeah, I killed my first deer with a bow. I think I was 10. 'Cause I killed my first
Nice.
deer when I was 8. So yeah.
And what do you use now? What bow do you shoot?
Right now I have a Hoyt. I got an RX-7. You know, I wouldn't say older, but obviously every year they come out with new flagship bows. I've never really been super partial to brands. Had a Matthews. Ironically, kind of a funny story. I won a Matthews VXR whenever they were the new bow on Instagram from a Levi Morgan post, like a drawing, and I won one.
Dang, nice.
And that was really my first new bow that I've had since I was, I think, probably 16. Before that, I was shooting a Bass Pro model Parker.
Yeah,
was
I remember the Parkers. Yeah,
Yeah, because I worked there, so we got a discount on it. And so really, you know, in between then I'd had some bows that I traded, you know, a gun for or something like that. Had a Bowtech, really liked it. And then that Matthews, which to this day I tell people is probably the best feeling bow I've ever shot, but I just didn't shoot it good.
yeah.
I mean, it's what it came down to. So, I don't know if you ever heard of Quest Hunt or not.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
me and a buddy of mine, we've been in the top 10, 5 of the 6 times that we've been in there. So twice we've won bows.
No kidding.
So
man.
now I've somehow in my life I've won 3 brand new Matthews. And after
That's awesome, dude.
yeah. So after the first one, I realized, you know, I just don't shoot it good. It's not the bow. It's never the bow. I mean, all of our bows nowadays.
Yeah.
So I went to our local shop and shot a bunch, and just I really liked the grip on the Hoyt, and I think that was my biggest issue with the Matthews is I was inconsistent on the grip, and I bought that 3 years ago, and don't have any reason to change for
Man, I'd have to tell you, I think I've shot a Hoyt one time, and it was an older Hoyt. I don't even remember the name of it, what it was. Somebody was selling it, and I shot it, and it didn't impress me.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to what, it was a lot older bow than what I have been shooting. So it was just like, it's nothing better than what I have. So I was like, I'm going to pass on it. So that was the only time I shot a Hoyt. But I was actually in Shields the other day, and I was looking at that RX-10. That color, I just love that Georgia clay or whatever they
Yep.
call it. I'm like, man, that color is just amazing to me. And I picked it up, and the grip, it kind of has a grippy feel to it. I was like, I absolutely love that, man.
It does, and if you look at, I'm not gonna say all of
Does
them.
that or does the RX-7 have that
Yep.
same grippy?
And they actually have, if you look at them, like from the basically your point of view, they're one of the only bows I know of at the moment that don't have flat sides on all 3 sides. They have a hump on whatever your shooting side is, you know. And to me, that is what it's just one more thing to make it more bulletproof in the moment. You don't have to think about it because it literally fits your hand there to where when it. And again,
You're talking about that back bar that comes back, or
so like when you're holding a bow, there's kind of on the Matthews or all the other bows, they're flat, and flat on the back, which is, you know, how it's supposed to be, but it avoids torque that way. But the Hoyts have kind of a hump on the left side that fits in the palm of your hand. And
got you.
to me, it makes me more consistent because I have to grab it there.
Yeah.
To where on the Matthews, I think that was my issue is I just sometimes I would randomly be a little bit off, and it would be enough that I didn't like it. You know what I was seeing in the target.
Yeah.
It wasn't
And
the bow.
and I know exactly what you're talking about because I've had several Matthews, and I always sell them because I just don't shoot them well.
Yeah.
Matthews got to be a good bow. I mean, they're one of the top bows in the industry. I mean, I
Oh,
would
yeah.
never dog on them like that, but I don't shoot it well for some reason. So I get one thinking, oh, maybe this one will be different, and it's not different. So I end up getting rid of it. I have a few bows. I have like 3 or 4 Bowtechs,
Mm-hmm.
I really like Bowtex. I just got an APA Black Mamba Pro this last year.
I've looked at those. Those are pretty cool
Dude,
bows.
it's pretty dope. It's a fast bow. It's and it's crazy because I actually like the draw on it. I mean, it's kind of a
That's the
harsh
one thing I've
draw.
heard is pretty aggressive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's and you got to hold it back because it wants to go. You know what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
I for some reason I like it. I'll go grab one of my Bowtex now and draw it back, and I'm just like, it feels like a kid's bow to me. You know what I mean? I don't know
Yeah.
how. I don't mean it like that, but that's the only
Yeah.
way I could say it. It feels like a little kid's bow to me. So I always go back to the APA. Have you ever shot a prime?
So I shot them, which they've gone away from when they had the 4 cams, the 2 on
Yeah.
top, 2 on bottom, and they're, I mean, insanely smooth because of that. But I haven't shot. It's been obviously that's been quite a way. They went away
Yeah.
from those.
The
I really
guys,
like the looks of their new one. It's
yeah,
got the carbon in the
yeah.
riser.
Well, the one I'm looking at a R RXV RVX 32, which
Gotcha.
is last year's model. It doesn't have the carbon rods. I'm not a
Gotcha.
real fan of that. I think I might would be if I seen it in person, but
Mm-hmm.
just looking on, I'm like, I don't know, it's different. But that RVX 32, I've read a lot of reviews on it. I'm actually gonna shoot one tomorrow and see how I like it. But
Sweet.
they say the grip on that is super nice, and
Gotcha.
so I'm pretty excited. It's supposed to be, they're the only bow that's got that center grip.
Mm-hmm.
So most bows are
Below your center.
below your center. This one's it's actually in the center. So they say once you first shoot it a couple times, you might be like, "What is happening?" You know. But after you shoot it a few more times, they say it's really a nice bow to shoot. So I've been the last few years into like speed. I've been a speed nut. I'm like I
Mm-hmm.
want the fastest. I want this and that, and I shoot whitetails. You know what I mean? 20 and 30 yards.
Yep.
So I'm like, really? It doesn't. I like the speed just because I
I'm the
like
same
fast,
way.
but
I want speed because I don't shoot heavy arrows. I'm not on that
yeah.
heavy arrow train.
Do you know what your arrow weighs?
Yeah, I think it's 439. I mean, they're on the
I'm
light side.
I'm right at. I was at 390. I was shooting Victory
The TKOs.
XVs,
Oh, gotcha.
extreme velocities, and it's a super light arrow, thin walled, obviously to
Mm-hmm.
get it that light. So I had an issue with it breaking. Like I'd shoot a deer, my arrow would be busted, cracked, or whatever. There's a couple times I shot a target and my arrow cracked, and I'm just like, it's pretty weak
Mm-hmm.
arrow in that aspect, but it flies wonderful. It's a fast arrow, and there's probably stuff I could have done to make it a little bit stronger, but it would have added weight. But I just got some RIP TKOs.
That's what I shoot. The
Do you
elites.
you
They're
love those?
tough as nails. I've been shooting them basically since they came out, and I absolutely love them. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna tell you I don't ever break one, but
Yeah,
it's if
I
it
mean,
breaks, it's for good cause.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'll hit
I
the
understand that.
bar on a 3D target or
Right.
something, and the insert
Yeah.
comes stuck in it. But I shot 3 deer with 1 arrow this year. I mean,
That's
obviously
awesome.
different broadhead because I'm a mechanical guy. But
Yeah, and that's what I'm used to. I'll use the same arrow over and over. But when I switched to those XVs, it was like you're not doing that.
that's how
And
the old Maxima Reds were for me. Everyone would break.
yeah, so I'm gonna shoot those TKOs, and so my weight was at like 394, I think is what it was, and now with the TKOs, I think I'm right at 430, which is right where I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a little bit more for penetration, to get that pass through, but still light enough that you're going to get some speed. Do you know what your bow's shooting?
Yeah, I'm shooting 293.
That's
so,
good. Yeah,
I got a 28-inch draw. I'm not a big
that's where
guy,
I'm
so
at. Yeah,
I'm happy with that. I could probably get 75-pound limbs or something, and if I
yeah,
but to me that's pretty close to 300, and for a hunting rig is about what you're gonna get. I mean, unless you're going crazy.
and I still think that's extremely fast.
Yeah,
I
it's super
mean,
flat.
yeah. So, and that's where I'm at. I'm like, so my APA, I was shooting 305, which I was like, that's smoking.
Yeah.
Um, and then my Bowtex, I was shooting like three. like 289, 288, which is still
Yes.
fast. So
Yeah, I
this,
think most people are like 260s. They just
yeah,
don't know it.
that's what, and
Because
that's why I was like, man, you don't have to be all about the speed. I like the speed, but it doesn't have to be my priority just for the fact that I'm shooting whitetail. I'm shooting 20, 30 yards. I never shoot.
hmm
I've never, I think, had an opportunity to shoot a deer past 40 yards. So I'm like, I don't have to do all that. So I'm going to check out this Prime. It's not as fast as some of my other bows, and that kind of, I was talking to a buddy of mine today that he knows my head, and he's like, "You sure you're gonna like that? I know you." And I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna try it and see." They say it's a good shooter, and that's what I'm looking for. Just something that just shoots great.
absolutely. I mean, and my wife, she's 5'3", she's tiny. She shoots. She got 26-inch draw, a 310 grain arrow or something, and you know she's pulling 52 pounds. She's shooting 263, which is super fast for that bow and setup.
Yeah,
It's that Matthews image, I think is what they call it. It's basically like kind of like the VXR or the V3, just made for lighter poundage. But she's killed. I mean, last year, not this season. She killed one buck this season. She didn't get to hunt much, but the season before that, she killed 5 deer. Got a passer on all of them but one, and the one she didn't was her second buck, and hit the offside main leg. I mean, deer ran 80 yards. So,
not. I need to get her on here, man. Shoot,
oh yeah, I mean, she's in the
she's
year.
probably got some stories.
Oh my goodness, and I try to obviously put her in the honey holes, but she's had
Yeah,
plenty of gar hole stories too. But she has the craziest stories, and it's crazy, but I'm the worst luck when I'm with her. She'll go and see like 25 deer, and we'll go and see one in the same place. I'm just like,
yeah,
so every deer she's killed has been without me.
yeah. I got a buddy. I take him out with me sometimes because he don't have no private land, and I've got a couple spots. I'm so once we get into season or whatever. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Once we get into season, I'll be like, hey, you want to come hunt one day? And he'll be like, yeah, he'll help me set up presets and whatever. So I always try to get him out, but I always tell him, man, whenever I take somebody out here, I never see deer. They see deer all day long. They're like, man, your place is full of deer. I'm like, I didn't see one. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, that's how she is, and I hate it because I so badly want to be there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because I get just as excited as she does. But
And
yeah,
that's got to be pretty cool, though. I don't. My wife doesn't hunt. She I think sometimes she gets sick of hearing me talk because that's pretty much anymore that I'm either talking about broadside camo, camp broadside, hunting. I mean, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I actually made I've got an AI song that I'm working on right now, and it's called. It goes like, she don't want to talk hunting, but I got buddies that do. And it's hilarious. I can't wait to finish it. You know what I mean? It's pretty. I'm putting pictures in it to make a little video. Anyway, it's super funny, man. But it's got to be pretty cool talking to your wife about her hunts and stuff. I mean, I always just thought that's got to be a trip. You know what I
it
mean?
it really is, and she didn't used to be, and she's still not obviously and as hardcore as I am.
Yeah.
She's got other hobbies. She's a big, barrel racer and has horses and stuff
Oh,
like that.
dang.
So, but she got into bow hunting basically. It would be 3 seasons ago now, and she was using my sister's old bow, and it was again, you can kill them obviously with a recurve, a longbow, a spear. So it wasn't the bow, but I told her, I was like, we should get a new bow for you. It's just night and day difference
Yeah.
nowadays. She's like, we don't need to spend the money on that. Well, the second bow that I want at Quest, they let me get that image for her.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, look, here's the deal. Now you have a brand new bow.
Now you got
Let's
a
try it.
brand new
Because
bow.
she like missed a few deer, wounded 2 deer, and had like the best worst first bow season you could ever have for something.
Yeah.
And so her second season, we had a new bow. We shot a lot all summer, and like I said, she killed 5 of the 5 deer. She didn't miss anything. I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah.
And after that, which anyone I would think would be hooked after
Yeah, for
a year
sure.
like that, but
Hey, my oldest son, he had his first complete year of bow hunting this year, and he put down 5 deer. I think he shot 2 that he couldn't find, or it wasn't good shots, something. I'm not sure. I don't really remember, but so like basically like he shot 7 deer, and I'm like, dude, what are you talking? This is your first year, and you just slayed them. You know what I mean? I said, and he shot a little buck for his first buck. I mean, not a little. I mean, it's a smaller buck, and then which he was like, man, I thought it was bigger, and I'm like, who cares? That's
Everyone
your first
does.
one with a
Yeah.
bow, dude. Yeah, and I told him that too. I said, everybody thinks they're bigger. I've shot them and thought they were friggin' I thought they would look like that one, and get to them and look. I'm like, this ain't my
Same
deer. But you know, a lot of people they'll hunt for years and not even get a chance at a buck. You know what I mean?
Right, absolutely.
So he shot that little buck, or a smaller buck, and then he shot a nice big buck. Shot 3 doe. I mean, he just had a season, and I'm like, this is incredible. Now he owns his own electric company, so he's able to get his guys to work and plan stuff out. All right, you guys gonna go do this tomorrow. And this guy's hunting in the woods. I hunt a lot, and I thought, man, nobody hunts more than me. This guy hunts more than me for sure. It was like I finally said, dude, you need a job. What are you doing? All you do is hunt. You're not a professional hunter. You got to get a job, you know. And anyway, like your wife, he had a hell of a season, you know what I mean, shooting 5 deer, and it's crazy. That's awesome, man. Congratulations to her for sure.
Yeah, it was super cool, and like I said, this year she just didn't get out as much, but she did kill her biggest bucks, and so that was cool.
Yeah, let's we better get to talking about some of these bucks, man. We can sit here and talk all day.
Yeah.
Which one you want to talk about first, man?
Well, we'll just go in order.
Okay.
Which is that the first one I killed was the big deer. We called him Dark Chocolate. Ironically, because so I shot him obviously this past season in 25. It would have been 24, 2023. I had a deer on camera that was there. He was hitting the scrape late October quite a bit, and he had dark chocolate antlers, and he was a real heavy deer. Had some trash on him, and then disappeared. You know, didn't see him. The following year, 2024, that he showed up again, and I was like, I don't think that's the same deer, but you know, we're just gonna say it is, and we're gonna keep calling him dark chocolate. Well, I never did see that other deer again, the original dark chocolate.
Yeah.
So, we deemed him dark chocolate. We just say DC, you know, and he was a real homebody. Yeah, that both of those sheds are the same farm, and that deer's tine length is unbelievable. I never did catch up with him.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but this
Which one is this? Is from
so
Dark
that's
Chocolate.
2024. Yeah, that's dark chocolate shed, and you know, he was probably 140-inch deer, like on the dot, high 30s, low 40s, and we thought he was 4 because I have pictures. I didn't know this at the time last year until this summer, but I actually do have pictures of that deer in 23, and it was not the deer I thought. But he had a very, very distinct forehead patch, and you guys can see it on pictures. But it was really gray, and I mean, he had it all 3 years. Is no doubt.
Yeah, so
And he
you
had
knew.
kind of a really weird eye color, which I'm a taxidermist, so I kind of noticed some of those things.
Right?
But basically, we, you know, said, I was like, I'm probably not going to shoot that deer, but we kind of didn't think he was going to do much because he's short tined, short beams. You know, he is heavy.
Yeah, he's got a little thickness down here for sure.
And Marissa, my wife, she's like, well, do you want me to shoot him if I see him? I'm like, if you see him, shoot him. You
Yeah.
know, absolutely. I'm not going to tell you to pass anything. There's some deer I may or may not want you to shoot, but I'm not to that point. You know, it's a deer. So,
Yeah.
And ironically, the day she killed her first bow buck, November 7th or 8th, she rattled him in 20 yards and couldn't get a shot off on him.
No kidding.
Yeah, and later that night, shot this other deer who honestly was the perfect deer. He was probably very mature, and he's only like 115, 120 inch 8-pointer. So, like, the perfect first deer ever.
Yeah.
She has room to kill bigger deer, but it was a mature deer.
100%. That's like you said, that's probably about the perfect deer for
Yeah.
somebody.
So fast forward, he's all over the farm, and it's only an 80-acre piece. It's not a big farm. During rifle season, he's daylighting, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, go hide. But I wasn't too obsessed with him because, again, I didn't think he was going to do much. But he made it through season. He was there a lot. Found one of his sheds, obviously. And then fast forward to the summer. There's an old mineral, on that farm. It's really good for summer pictures. And this deer shows up. And I'm like, man, that deer's just insanely heavy. And in a summer coat, I can't see that blonde forehead patch, that gray
Gotcha.
patch. So I'm like, as it progresses, I think it's him. So we just start, I'm like, I think that's DC. He's not super regular and a lot at night, so that was kind of alarming. But I know the farms around it had a bunch of corn, and this farm was all beans, which great in the summer. But late August, mid August to late August, and early like the first week of September, he started daylighting, not daily, but very consistent in these beans, and got some awesome pictures of them. And got some awesome pictures of them on that.
You sent those to me, I think.
Yeah. And I got one of the, I run a lot of Mud Eating Stealth cameras, or the cameras that I run, and they have the live feed on some of them.
Mm-hmm.
So on that old Salt Lick, I got some live stream video of them. It's kind of cool.
Oh, nice.
But anyways, I'm like, in my head, I'm trying, which is irrelevant. I'm going to hunt the deer, but I'm like, how big is that deer? I'm talking with a bunch of my buddies, and I'm like, I think he's definitely in the 60s, probably high 60s. And they're like, you're crazy. That deer's way bigger than that. I'm like, he might be, but I don't need to think that anyways if I'm going to hunt him. So
yeah.
September 1st to the 6th, every night, he daylights in front of this camera I have on the beans. And then he disappears. Well, and every time he was there, it was like on a north wind. So I didn't hunt the first 2 days of season, and then we got a north wind, and I was like, he hasn't been on camera for almost 20 days now. But, well, I guess it'd be 10 days, which felt like forever.
Yeah.
But I was going to go, and he was running with ironically, I keep saying ironic, but a 4-year-old that had a double G3. So kind of it wasn't quite an inside tine, but similar. And I saw that deer, my first sit. But he wasn't with them. And I was like, oh, shoot. And he was on the edge eating acorns from pin oak that was, dropping. He wasn't even in the beans, but he just come out to the edge of the field. So I hunted the 3 days, would have been the 3rd, 4th, and 5th day of season, I think it was. And then, because I had good entry and exit out of there, I obviously, the first set I hung, and then I just left it there for the next 2 days. The second day, I think it poured rain, and I sat through it, and I don't know why, because every time I've ever sat in a pouring rain, I've never seen deer, but I still am dumb enough
I do
to
the
do
same
it.
thing. I'll be out there, and I'm just like, just in case.
Yeah.
Now, at this point, are you in a hang-on, climber, tree stand?
So, yeah, pretty much primarily I hunt with they're the old, before Lone Wolf sold, but those Lone Wolf Assaults, they're kind of the original, mobile setup, hanging stands. I think the one's like 10 pounds, so it's, it's fairly light. And I use those one sticks, so they don't weigh nothing. But that's what I had there, and ended up pulling it the 3rd day because the weather was, there was north wind, didn't have anything of them. And I think it was October 5th. He'd show back up at like midnight. And then he showed up on another camera. And October 6th, he daylighted, and I had obligations. It was kind of the beginning of that first October cold front.
Yep.
And it came in that night, and then the 7th was the day after, which is when I like to be there. But anyways, he daylighted on that same bean camera that I would have been hunting if I was able to hunt that night, but we had family stuff going on, and I was like, son of a gun. So the next day, I'm like, do I go sit there, or do I go, there's this secluded field that in years past, that shed year, he was in there all October. I mean, daylighting all the time. And I'm like, there's, a bunch of scrapes around that field. There always is. So I elected to go there, which the wind was not really ideal for the farm, but based on all the pictures I ever got from him this summer and the past month, he was not coming from that way, which was the main chunk of timber, and he was kind of coming from just some scattered random stuff. So I elected to give that up, and I went in there and found a tree, and on the way in, I freshened up. They were already there, but I rubbed some of that ranch butter stuff. I think Black Widow's who makes it. It's the first year I've ever tried it.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of good stuff about the Black Widow.
And that's what made me kind of try it. So, like, you know, the sales pitch has got me.
Yeah.
I really like Ben Rising, and he likes the stuff a lot. But anyways, freshened up, I think 3 scrapes on the way in, and got in the tree super early, like 1 o'clock, which, as earlier I told you, you know, federal employee, we were shut down. So I technically didn't even have a job at the time.
Yeah.
So
That helps.
yeah, had quite a bit of freedom. Got in there, and there was one kind of awkward angle, tough shot that I had that I cleared, and I drew back to test to make sure, you know, and accidentally squeezed off an arrow right into the dirt. So I was like, oh, shoot, and I shoot lighted nocks. I'm like, well, I need to get down and get
So
that
the
thing.
knocks just
Yeah.
bright as could be. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, again, luckily I got in plenty early and there was a
Yeah.
good breeze. But so I got down and walked out there and got it, you know, feeling like an idiot. Got back up, and then, so I think sunset, or legal shooting light was like 7:24 or something around there. And I got a picture of him at like 6:50. And he had just walked out of the beans where he daylighted the day before. And I was like, well, son of a bitch, if I sat right there,
you'd
where I
have been right
went,
there.
yeah, he'd have been dead.
Yeah.
I'm like, but he's coming my general direction, you know, in the picture. So I obviously stand up and bow ready and am on edge. And I had my camera with me to self film, and it just was getting too dark. And I look up across this it's little pockets, 40 yards wide, probably 100 yards long. And there he is hitting the scrape, one of the ones I freshened up. And I'm just like, he looks way bigger than I thought he was. And I'm like, oh my God. And I thought he was gonna cut right across this big window I had, and he was just close enough that it was under my window, and I'm like, man. And he actually walked basically quartering to me, except to my left, and stopped. I think it was like 15 yards to hit another scrape, and I had a window about a basketball size, and actually hit him about square, and he was quartering to me, like square in the shoulder, and it exited armpit. I mean, he ran 50 yards and tumbled down. So, I mean, I saw him go down, and I was losing my mind. And you said a few choice words, and
Yeah.
and I called my buddy who I'm always in quest with, who's ironically, his name is Tyler as well. And I called my wife. Those are the two, you know. Actually, I texted them because they were both hunting. And Tyler called me immediately. He's like, why didn't you call me? I'm like, because he was hunting a 170 class deer,
Yeah.
if not bigger. And I'm like, well, we got 5 minutes left. You know, I didn't really want to.
Want to jack you up.
Yeah.
There might be something right in front of you, and then.
Yeah. He's like, I'll get down. I'll head that way. And then Marissa called me whenever she got out of the tree. So I waited for them and met them at the truck. And so I didn't go look at the deer at all. You know, obviously, I got a lot of
I
pictures
know
of
you
them.
were just amped.
But yeah, I mean, I was just dying. And but hindsight, super glad that I waited for him, you know, which is kind of, I never really thought about it before, but this year it was really nice. It was wait, and we all got to see it at the same time, you know, and he was just way heavier. I mean, way heavier than we thought.
How cool to have that moment with your wife and your buddy. I mean, that's
Yeah.
super cool, man.
And I mean, I got pictures with both of them, and then,
Wasn't you have a son, right?
yep. And so he was at daycare. Well, so he was at the babysitter's essentially at that point in time, obviously, because daycare was closed. But I'd called them to kind of let them know, like, hey, it's going to be a little later. And then another good buddy of mine lives down the road, thank goodness, was able to come with the side-by-side so we didn't have to drag this big thing out. And I think we gutted him there, obviously, and then hung him. It was luckily that cold front was cool enough, left him overnight, and took some really good pictures in the daylight.
Oh,
and that's the one
nice.
with my son that I really like.
Yeah, that's a beautiful picture, man. What a moment.
Yeah, and it's just surreal. And to do it, I mean, he's not been officially scored yet, but you know he's right at 185.
Let's show him off, man. I can't believe how heavy that dude is.
Yeah, the
Jiminy
mass, I mean,
Christmas.
is this big inside tine's pretty awesome, and then this mass here is just. I think he's got like
I
six
hope
and a
that
half,
shows
six-
up on the camera like it.
That's yeah,
like
it never does it
looks. I'm like,
justice.
that's insane, dude.
But he's got really short beams. Just like his shed was 19 inches, he's got 21-inch main beams, which for a
Yeah.
deer of that caliber is pretty short.
Yeah,
Um,
his tines are huge. His
that's the other
ma-
thing is you don't think it because he's so heavy, but he's got 12-inch. These two are both 12-inch tines, and that's all stuff I was not figuring.
Yeah,
And you know, he was laying like that. So the first thing I grabbed was, I mean, again, I don't know if the camera's really going to show it, but just
Yeah.
the mass is this whole side. The smallest mass measurement is 5 inches.
yeah,
You got 43 inches of mass.
and he's heavy.
Yes,
That's a heavy mass.
yes,
That mass is incredible.
yeah. So I mean, he put on
This
45
is
inches.
amazing. I love that. That's
Oh yeah, and if you look at it from the like kind of the top, there's a big crack in there, where that tine goes in. There's
Oh, yeah.
fly holes in there.
oh yeah.
He's just a cool deer. It's wild. What I can't get over is, you know, obviously he threw that big non-typical, so that side's gonna score a lot. But how big his typical side blew up from the year before?
Man, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I mean,
I wonder what because that happens a lot. Like you'll have a deer that's just like this one, you know. You can find his sheds and he's a decent deer, but he's no monster. And then the next year he's a monster. It's like, my goodness, man.
yeah, I mean, he really wasn't even on my radar, you know, to speak of. And then
He's got
he
a
just-
hole back here.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What do you think it caused this? Do you think he got injured or
So I don't know, but in 2023, when I told you I have those pictures of him as a 3-year-old, that side was a double main beam. Because I remember that deer, I was like, man, this deer could be cool. Well, the next year, I didn't put 2 and 2 together. He was just a completely perfectly clean, typical 10. He ended up breaking that double main beam off, so he really looked wonky late season as a 3-year-old. But maybe he had some non-typical
I had-
genetics. He does have you'll never see it in the video, but his nose, he's got a really like broad hump kind of between his eyes. I mean, you can see
Yeah.
it if you look at it next to
compared to that? Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know if that's an injury. It looked like he had a scar right there in the past picture, so maybe a fighting injury, but whatever it was, I'm glad he did it.
Yeah, man, that thing's what a trophy, dude.
Yeah.
And to have that history with him and all the pictures you have of him, and I mean, it's just what a buck. Congratulations,
Yeah.
man. That's a buck of a lifetime.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I
And
mean?
Thank
That's-
you. I mean,
That's awesome, dude.
and that's what, you know, I sent you some of those pictures. That's what was so crazy is the year before the buck I killed had this on this side.
Yeah.
And I mean,
And you said they were different farms, so it's not
Complete-
like
yep, completely different farms. They were, you know, that deer was, I think, 184 and some change. So, I mean, they're right. To me, this deer is more impressive just because he's got kind of all around. But that deer had a 100-inch left side. I mean, his left side was unbelievable.
I can't wait to see him when you get him done.
Yeah.
When you get him mounted, that's gonna be incredible, dude.
Well, and that deer was September 15th. This deer is October 7th. And that's my favorite thing is the taxidermist side of me is just the beautiful early season capes. I mean,
Aren't they beautiful, dude?
they're unbelievable.
Yeah.
And the white just glows on them.
Yeah, what a buck, man. Congratulations again. That's what an incredible story, even, you know, I love that, man. It's such a blessing to share it with your son and your wife, and that's super cool, man.
Yeah, I mean I'm over the moon, you know, with it. How
How old's your son?
So he's just turned 4 Monday.
Now, how is he? Was he like super excited?
He's always excited. Like
Yeah.
so he's excited if it's a doe, you know, just because he's not old enough yet, which I love, obviously. But he loves taking pictures. He likes trying to take the pictures, being in the pictures.
Yeah.
Almost kind of a nuisance when we're not getting in the
Right.
pictures.
The reason I ask is because my wife does daycare,
Mhm.
and I used to be all worried about what the parents thought about this, you know, but everybody's super cool about it. We treat those kids like they're our own family. Is the way they're raised. And so when I kill something, I have to come home because they all want to see it. They all want to take pictures with it. They all want to touch it. You get a couple that are kind of like, I don't know about this. But I've got a couple of them little boys. I turn around, they're kissing him on the nose or something. I'm like, don't do that, bro. You know.
That's he likes it. They're cute. I'm like, nah, they're
Yeah,
cool. You know.
yeah. And they're like, is that blood? You know, like, why is his tongue out? Why is this? What? I mean, and I love it. So I know your son's probably super stoked the same way.
Oh yeah, and he got to watch. Actually, me and my wife both shoot a turkey this year with us in the ground blind. That was pretty cool.
How
this
cool is
spring.
that, dude?
Well, I guess last spring. So now, when you ask him how old he is, he's like, "I'm not 6. I can't shoot turkey and deer yet." So he doesn't even tell you how old he is. But
What's his name?
Randy.
And
So I
you
named him after my dad, Randy.
Oh, nice.
So yep,
You said he turned 4 this past Monday?
yep.
All right. Happy birthday, Randy.
Groundhog
man.
Day. So,
Yeah,
thank
that's
you.
cool, man.
Yeah.
So what's up? We got this other buck. So you shot that one.
Mm-hmm.
And when was that? I'm sorry.
October 7th.
October 7th.
Yep.
So you're over the moon.
Yeah, and with Missouri's rules, tagged out.
Yeah, you can't shoot another buck.
Yep. I got lucky.
Did you do any doe hunting?
So, I don't think I did. Because we were in the middle of moving. So, we moved out of another house, and then we were staying with some friends of ours, waiting to close on the shutdown. Kept us from closing on our new house because it was a
Gotcha.
government loan. So,
Yeah.
it really kind of screwed some stuff up. But anyways, it worked out. We're in the house now. We closed on it November 17th. It was a Monday. The first Monday of rifle season. I didn't go out that weekend because we were doing stuff for the house and packing
Yeah.
up the old house. And Marissa had killed her deer, I think November 8th, so we'd already taken care of that. And this deer, got 3 years pictures of him, and he's just always been I don't want to say run-of-the-mill 8-pointer because his frame's incredible, but just a kind of a normal 8-pointer. And last year he had a decent frame, and this year I'm like, he looks a lot, not a lot bigger, but he looks bigger, and I know he's mature. You know, I think he's 6. I have a tooth that's going to be the first tooth I've ever actually sent off, so I'm curious to see. But I was like, I've already killed this deer. I did run out to Kansas for a little bit because I drew a Kansas tag.
Yep.
Didn't have any luck at that point. Passed on several deer that I think to be 3 and 4s. I couldn't bring myself to do it because I was way back in some walk-in, and I'm like, man, if I'm gonna mess with getting a deer out of here,
It's got to be a good
it's
one.
either gonna be super old or super big.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna go try and hunt that deer. And Marissa, she didn't see the deer, but had some encounters while she was in the tree, and had pictures of him, on the farm in the daylight, and just it didn't work out because I was hoping she was gonna kill him. Obviously, not so much that I didn't go,
Right.
but so we moved in the 17th. She had to work. Or maybe she was off. Either way, I had the day. I took off that week to move in, and I was like, I'm going to go see if that deer's, because I had some pictures of him the past few days on that farm, and a spot that I've always wanted to hunt on it and never did. And so went, and I knew it wasn't going to be very windy that morning. So that's when I was going to do the saddle because it's just easier, quieter, quicker to get up. And didn't have a ton of good trees, but found something that would work, which is kind of one of the good things about it. But I mean, I was in there probably an hour and had a doe and 2 fawns come from the one direction I didn't want them to come. The wind was doing the exact opposite they said it was going to do.
Yeah.
Um,
Now, are you following the one of your hunting apps that's telling you what the wind's gonna do?
So I don't have I have DeerCast now. I got it because they wrote a story on that deer and they gave me a free trial, and I really like the barometric pressure on it. It's very easy to read, but I just use the Weather Channel.
Okay. Well, I was asking because I have like 3 apps, and every one of them will tell me the wind's doing something different, and I'm like, I don't even know which one to believe. You know what I mean? I try to find if I can get two of them to give me the same answer, then I'm like, okay, I'll go with that one. But or if one of them follows what the news is, the weather says, I'll go with that. But
Yeah.
sometimes them apps, I'm like, I think I put too much thought into it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and I knew it was gonna be light anyways. And anytime there's east in it, seems like if it's light and east, it might as well just be light and variable. But I was kind of banking on some thermals, in the morning, but it was super overcast and it wasn't super cold. It was 50s or something like that, and it wasn't a super low. So I didn't have them. I was really kind of hoping worst case I'd have that, and I didn't. And instead of a northeast wind, it was like a southwest wind, which was awful. But
Excuse me.
so I had a doe and fawn come in, and they got, right below me, and just I've seen them, and it's one thing I wonder, because I'm a huge fan of mobile hunting. I think the first time in, or even if it's the third time in, if you hang every time or whatever, it's new. But I've oftentimes seen deer that, because of that, it's like see your first stick and just follow it up, and I was like,
oh no,
yeah. And they didn't know what I was, but they got spooky and went off the other way, and
should have been wearing broadside camo.
yeah, I should have.
Get my little plug in there.
And so I was, as you do in a saddle, I was facing the tree most of the time, looking this way, when inadvertently I kind of thought the deer was probably going to be coming that way. It's just kind of how the tree leaned. It was more comfortable to be that way.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh shit, I probably ought to turn around and look that way. And so I turn around, and he's at like 65 yards with the doe. And exactly what I thought in my head, I was like, this deer's going to look really big. He's not a high scoring deer, but he's mature and his frame is huge. And I turn around, I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's the deer I'm in here. And I pulled up my rangefinder, and I'm like, oh, that's definitely him.
That's him. And he was 65 yards about this at this point.
Yep. So, and there's just highway, and she was kind of just slowly, how they were definitely locked down.
Yeah.
So, she wasn't worried about him. She was just kind of doing her thing, and she kind of made a weird loop to my west and then back straight east instead of south towards me. And when she crossed that highway, it was like 42 yards, and I shoot 50 and 60 yards every day, and then I shoot 20, 30, and 40. It's like, it's nothing, it seems like.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if he goes across right there, I think I can. There was one dead limb. It wasn't even a limb. It was an actual deadfall that was just kind of leaning over. And I was like, I think I can. And I was kind of at a weird angle with the saddle, like this way, and I was squatting and leaning, and got drawn on him and stopped and felt really good, released it, and I just barely nicked that tree.
Oh,
and it
no.
center punched a hackberry like 10 feet in front of them. And they didn't know, they had no idea what happened. So they just kind of did what deer do when they get like randomly spooked, and they just kind of jumped and went 10 yards and actually went out to the field, which is directly downwind of me. And he started making a scrape, and I'm like, okay. So I put another arrow in. And
I love that. All right, I was just gonna say, I love that. The first deer you started off talking about, you launched an arrow.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So maybe there's something to that. You know what I mean?
I tried that in Kansas.
You got to at least shoot one arrow first.
So I tried that in Kansas.
Yeah. Okay.
And of course, when you do it on purpose,
yeah, that's right.
But so she was just sitting there milling on acorns. He was making a scrape, and then I could tell he got my win. Like he was, I don't know what you want to call it, but they do the weird head bob kind of stomp.
He's thinking something's going on.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, crap. It's
how far is he at this point?
He's like 35 yards, but it's very thick stuff at that. Like
Gotcha.
That particular spot is just a bunch of thick shingle oaks and real lemmy stuff. And I catch movement past him up in the field, and there's two young bucks come out. And I was like, okay, well, and so he saw them and ran her back into the woods. So like they were my saving grace. And I was like, sweet. And she ran, 10 yards right past me. So at this point, I'm like, all right, it's game over if I get him stopped. And he did, well, when I watched her go this way, there's another young buck in the woods with me that I did not see at all. So he kind of cut the distance between the two of them, and from in front of me, just trying to get the thing to stop. Finally stopped and didn't have a big window again, but he was 20 yards and that loud pop. I mean, I absolutely
Oh, I
throttled him.
love
And
that sound.
so, and yeah, so the first buck DC I shot with the Beast Titanium, was very impressed with it. The other two I shot into the ground in a tree. So,
Yeah.
so, um, so the
How'd
one
they do on the ground in the tree? They kill it?
Oh,
They
yeah.
did-
Yeah.
they did a job.
the tree one's still in there.
Yeah.
So, didn't cut it in half, but it was about that big buried in there. So, and I bought the previous year. I bought the Sever. I don't know if you've looked at them right, but
Yeah,
Sever,
I have 'em.
Yeah, the 1.5 hybrids is what
Yep.
I got for my wife because I'm a big mechanical person. I did a lot of online research to try and figure out what would be best for her lighter poundage, and after seeing what she did with them every deer last year, I was super impressed with
Yeah.
them. So that was my next arrow in line, and Blood Trail was phenomenal. He ran quite a ways, but I rutted up. Deer's gonna do that, and
Yep.
I think he went, 150 yards, but it was a red carpet all the way there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just like his frame, like his head-on frame's just really big.
Yeah. He
his
looks
brow's killing,
wide.
but
And,
yeah, he's got 25 inch.
And he's got a lot of
bangs.
character, man, on his brows.
Yeah,
All them little kickers and stickers and stuff.
And then
That's
got double acorn tips.
is that what they're called? Acorn tips.
I've always been told acorns is what they call them, but
Because I've seen them, and I'm like, I didn't know.
yeah, and I'm assuming it's genetic because I've
Those
seen
little
deer have them every
kickers,
year.
stickers off of this. I love stuff like that, dude. And it's crazy because he's got basically in the same spot, one on each. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like even with each other.
But
I'm sure that won't show up on camera.
yeah,
But man, that's super cool.
but yeah. So that was it was just super cool to
What a buck, though. I mean, he's now. How old was he? Because you said you got a lot of history with him.
Yeah, so I think he's 6. Like I said, I haven't sent it off yet, but I saved a tooth off of him, and that'll be the first time I really actually send one off because I'm super curious. Huge bodied deer, but so yeah,
Yeah.
I was
dude.
kind of in the mindset I'm not gonna kill a bigger deer than the one I just did, so chase something mature, and I did.
You
I got
did it.
lucky and got in there and was able to kill him.
Yeah. You killed him with the Sever.
Yep.
So I shoot Grim Reapers.
Mhm.
Absolutely love them. This year I decided for whatever reason I'm gonna try something different. So I shot several different ones.
Mhm.
I actually talked to Sever a few different times about the broadheads, and then ended up getting some. And I shot a doe with a Sever. And and it sounds dumb. Like when I say it, when I think it in my head, I'm like, I've never seen an arrow go through a deer so fast. But it sounds really dumb to me.
Mhm.
But I can't express enough. I've never seen an arrow go through a deer so fast.
They're sharp.
It was amazing to me. The blood trail. Now I double lunged her, so when it had snowed. When she'd breathe, it was just splatter on both sides. So it wasn't like a heavy, like you heart shot it, or where it's just.
Yeah, a
It
line.
was just kind of spread out, which it was killer. And she went about probably 120 yards because she went straight down this path, and I know it's 100 yards because I've shot that. So I knew that was 100 yards, and she went in the woods about maybe 20, 25 yards probably. So she went quite a ways, but I think she never knew what hit her until she probably got to the woods and was like, "What in the world just happened?"
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
things are so sharp.
They are incredibly sharp, and that's I think helps with my wife's excuse me,
Light poundage. Yeah.
getting those pass throughs because not all of them were blow through pass throughs. I think 2 of them the arrow got pulled out, but the
Yeah.
broadheaded passed through and the arrow
Yeah.
was hanging out. Which
And I wondered because me and my wife's talked about her picking up a bow and whatnot,
Mhm.
and So in my head, I'm like, okay, what would broadhead would she shoot or whatever? And so I in my head, I'm thinking she's going to be shooting a lighter poundage. She's going to have to shoot a fixed blade, is what I'm thinking. So
Mm-hmm.
it's nice to hear that there are mechanical options for sure that actually work. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and that's because her old bow that I was talking about, I had her shooting the 85 grain, uh, G5, what just their fixed blade heads, and I'm a huge fan. There's advantages of both. I'm a big advocate to avoid the shoulder. So if you're gonna hit a deer back, I would much rather do it with a mechanical than I would a fixed blade. It's just a bigger hole, and I've seen some terrible shots with mechanicals that you could watch the deer die that you would never believe that they would die that
Yeah.
fast.
I'm like people will say we'll talk about broadside camo, and I'm like, you know what? I wear it because I feel like it's kind of like sitting in a blind. If you got a black backdrop, you want to wear black
Mm-hmm.
so you don't have a silhouette or whatever. That's how I feel about being up in a tree. I want to blend in with the background. I don't want my silhouette to stand out. And a lot of times I think we do as hunters, and I feel like in broadside my silhouette does not stand out. It just with that them big patches of white, it blends in. And I always tell everybody I'm an average hunter. I need every advantage I can get. Now, does it help 100% for sure? I don't know, but in my head it does. So it gives me that confidence.
Confidence
But
is key.
that's way I am with mechanicals. I've shot fixed blades. That's why I wasn't trying to talk
Mm-hmm.
about
Right.
broadside. I'm just saying I wear it because I'm an average hunter. I shoot mechanicals because I'm an average hunter. I make mistakes. I may shoot a little forward. I may shoot a little back, a little high, a little low, whatever. So if I can get a bigger cut that's going to help me that deer to die quicker, I'm going to take it every chance I get. I'm going to take advantage of that. That's why I love the Grim Reapers. Every deer I've shot, I think with the Grim Reaper, it's just been massive blood trails. They've died within probably, their logos watch them drop, and
Yeah.
I swear that I most of them I watch them drop.
Mm-hmm.
And so this past year, I tried several different ones. There was a couple fixed blades in there that I tried out, and I did not like it at all. I was like, nope. Severs did really good. I have no issues with Sever, but I'm just a Grim Reaper guy, so
Mm-hmm.
that's what I shoot.
Yeah, and that's what if I had one thing to critique about the Severs, which I've never actually had them be an issue, is the O ring that holds them
Yeah,
together. I'm
I'm
not a
not a fan
huge
of O
fan of that.
rings.
I like the pivoting blade. I
Yeah,
think that aids in like my wife getting good penetration through those deer and stuff
that
because
is
she's just
that
not
is
breaking
super cool.
ribs. Yeah.
That pivoting
Mm-hmm.
because they lock and then they
Right.
pivot, and
Yeah.
I'm like, that's so cool, man.
And they're very sharp. They're titanium, all that stuff. They're tough. That's why I kind of tried the Beast broadheads. I've never been the biggest Josh Bromar fan. People love him or hate him. Indifferent at this point.
Yeah,
But the thought process behind him really, I mean, it just makes sense. And I'm not going to say any other broadhead I had would have been any different, but that big deer, I did hit him, square in the shoulder, and they did exactly what they said they were supposed to do and closed up and opened as soon as they got back out. So, um, that process, going back and forth with the fixed blade thing, they're making high quality, everyone that will, die on that fixed blade train seems like they go back to the original mechanicals, and they're making some super high quality mechanicals now
oh man,
that will break through that
yeah,
stuff, but you still don't want to intend on that to
yeah.
happen.
I never intentionally, but a lot of times it happens. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know what happens that it happens, but it happens. I can sit out here in my yard and shoot 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and I'm dialed in, and just so much adrenaline going and so many factors in. You got wind, you got the just the sheer excitement, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? The deer's moving. It's they're always on alert. So as soon as they hear any kind of noise, they're locked up and ready to move. So you don't know if they dodge, if they jump or whatever. And like we said earlier, most of the time that all becomes a blur unless you got it on video. You
Right.
know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying?
Yeah.
And I'm not a good self filmer. I try. I did get a doe I shot this year. I got her on camera. that APA that I shot,
Mm-hmm.
it has a camera mount on the top of the riser for like a GoPro
Mm-hmm.
or DJI camera or whatever. So I got a DJI camera and I put it up there, and I had a remote for it. So when I seen her coming, and she was a good mature doe, so I was like, I'm shooting her. So I just hit record on that remote, grab my bow, and we thought that smack in the video. She comes in, you hear my little meh. You gotta have a good meh. I don't have a very good meh.
I
don't
don't,
think.
but
I try.
I was gonna say I don't think you need a good one, just a loud enough one for the
Yeah, maybe
deer.
not. Maybe it don't have to be good. It just needs to be loud enough
Yeah.
for them to hear it. So, but I hear on the video, you hear me go meh, and she stops, and then when I shoot, you just hear that. I mean, it's a loud smack, and I'm like, I just love that sound.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
like,
that- you
oh
know it's
yeah,
good.
dude, that's a great shot. So, yeah, dude. So you had a heck of a season, man. Two giants.
Yeah, I mean, it's the best year I've ever had, especially with a bow. So.
Yeah. So anything after that, the second one, did you do any more hunting?
So I went back out to Kansas, 2 days, and I, I hunted the last 2 days of the season too. So 4 days when I had some time, and that's when I missed that giant out there on Thanksgiving morning. Went back there one other time. The particular piece was definitely a rut farm, so I was kind of on that. I've had super good mature deer movement on Thanksgiving. Trying to find that last doe and stuff. And by the time I went back out there, it was into December, and it's really just kind of a funnel. Didn't have nearly confidence, and obviously, the first time I didn't have huge confidence 'cause I know what I was hunting. But
Yeah.
um,
Now, and them walk-ins are, I mean, anybody can go. I mean, as long as you obviously have a tag, right?
yep.
Anybody can go in on the walk-ins. So
Yep.
did you have to deal with other people out there?
So there was some people goose hunting.
Oh, wow.
Because there was a pond in the middle of this cornfield. They luckily never fired a shot. I don't know if it would have made a difference the day I missed that deer, but some of them you have to check in on an app, but those are actual public lands, or like core ground. But some of the walk-ins you have to check in too, so you got to know that. But other than that, I don't know if like the check-in ones, if like say two other people are checked in, it says, hey, you can't.
Right.
I don't personally know because this is my first year out there, and I just didn't get to spend the time out there that I wanted to. But I have saw some deer the last few hunts, and just again, I really didn't want to be the person that, because I obviously try to manage deer. I'm all for anyone shooting whatever they want to shoot, but I also wish we had different rules for our non-residents in Missouri for quality deer management. So I didn't want to be the guy to be like, well, I spent $600 on this tag, I'm going to shoot something. So I didn't bring myself to shoot. I could have shot several deer that some people might have been happy with, but I just, where I'm at, wouldn't have been happy with just to shoot a deer.
Yeah. You'd have just been shooting it just to be shooting it.
Yeah. And I could have shot a doe, but the lazy part of me is I can go shoot a doe back home and drive to it, pick it,
Right. You
I'm
don't
not
have to
in it
drag
for
it and-
the experience at this
Yeah,
point. It's not like
yeah.
I'm in the mountains backpacking an elk out. So
Yeah, I get that for sure. I've never actually put in for Kansas just because, for one, I was like, don't know how it all works, but I was like, if I had private land, I would. I don't want to go pay that kind of money and then go hunt public, but I think you just got to do it. I got to put in for it because those walk-ins, somebody else was telling me about them, and it sounds super cool, man.
yeah, and some are, I mean, one, with the apps, you got, even just the Kansas app has them, but OnX has them and everything else. So they're easy to find. There is a lot of them. With the limited draw, they're not all overrun. You go the first 2 weeks of November, you're going to run into people, but their season starts the day after ours. So you can still have an opportunity at early season deer. Their antlered season does end the 31st of December, so it doesn't go into January, but I bought a preference point 2024, which I kind of kicked myself because I should have just saw if I could get in, because I got lucky and killed that deer opening day and just sat here twiddling
Yeah.
my thumbs, But anyways, so I did have a preference point to get drawn, and I do believe it's getting harder, which is not surprising.
So just for my knowledge and anybody watching, how does that work? If you want to go hunt in Kansas, you have the option of buying a preference point, or you have to buy a preference point.
So you can get in without a preference point. So you can apply to draw, and I'm not positive, but most states are this way, so I'm assuming they are too. If you don't get drawn, you can opt, for a preference point as well. I just didn't think I was gonna have the time, so I was like, well, shoot, I might as well get a preference point. And I think as of right now, if you have at least a point, you're gonna get drawn. But from what I've heard from people that live out there and guys I know, it's probably gonna kind of turn into an Iowa
Yeah,
situation,
it's gonna start taking you
which
a couple years, and
I
then
would say is unfortunate. But if you have that caliber deer to chase, I'm all for it.
yeah,
I'll wait my turn. But
yeah. And would you know offhand, like when do you have to put in?
I don't. Usually their deer stuff is, I think by the end of May or June or
Gotcha.
something like that.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna put in this year and just see
Yeah, and
see what happens.
and I said I was going to, and I didn't. But you could also obviously live close enough to Kansas. You could take a few trips out there and try to get private ground. Knock
Yeah,
on door, get some
yeah,
permission. I'm sure it's harder than it used to be, but you knock on enough doors, I'm sure you'll find something.
yeah,
And if there's deer there, there's pretty good odds there'll be a good one.
yeah.
Um,
Just as good as anywhere else, and like I said, Kansas got some super nice genetics running through that
yes,
state for sure.
yeah,
That's why we were talking about having like a mobile hunter show here in Kansas City area, Missouri or whatever, or just a hunting show because we
hmm
haven't had one for several years. I remember one when I was a kid. That's pretty much it. Or I guess even when I got out of the military and I came home, I would go down. There was one down on Front Street. I don't know the name of it or not, but they had a 3D shoot and all kinds of vendors and whatnot. And I remember that one, but then when it died off, nothing was happening. And I've talked to a couple people like Christopher Leppert from the Mobile Hunter Expo and
hmm
about maybe getting one out in this area because I'm like, to me, this is the Midwest.
yeah. I'm excited that the expo we're actually having is
Yeah,
in Kansas
dude.
City this year.
Show Me Whitetails.
Yeah, I'm
Man,
super
I'm
pumped.
that's March 13th through the 15th.
hmm
Broadside Camo will be there. Latitude's going to be there. Hoyt's going to be there. Bowtech's going to be there. Victory Archery's going to be there. I mean, there's just a whole slew of. I'm so excited for this show. I'm so glad that that's happening, man. It's super cool.
Yeah,
'Cause I think Missouri's got hellacious caliber deer
hmm
here. Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Illinois, Oklahoma. I mean, there's a lot of good hunters here in this area. There's a lot of great caliber deer in this area, and I'm like, we need a show. And
I'm excited to see what shows up because I might be wrong. I'm sure I don't actually know, but I'm sure Kansas has a show. I mean, every state has a show of some sort, but I feel like there might be some people bring some giant deer out of
yeah,
Kansas or just like you said, this area. The suburban stuff's got some giants around here.
yeah, dude.
I'm sure that deer. I think it's 2 years ago now. That 200, that real palmated buck, it was killed somewhere. I don't know where, but
What?
and
Yeah, what's that? The picture you sent me of the palmated buck.
um.
Did you shoot that?
So I'm trying to think which picture.
He looked like almost like a moose antlers. You know what I mean? He's kind of wide. I don't have my phone on there.
Yeah,
I'd pull it up.
I mean, I don't think so. Let's see. We'll see real quick.
Yeah, but there, like you said, there's some huge deer, and I expect there's going to be some big ones at that show. I go up to the Iowa Whitetail Classic. You know what I mean? Every year, it's in March as well,
That
and there's
is that the
some
deer we were
monsters.
talking
Yeah.
about? Okay, that's that 185 that I last year.
Okay, that's the one you shot last year.
Yeah,
He's
he's got that big inside. That's what was crazy. He
yeah,
had that.
dude. I'm gonna add those pictures about right in here probably because he's a hell of a deer, man. I was like, I love that palmation or whatever, and
Yeah, and that deer, it's a cool story too. But me and my wife and my son were going to eat in town and saw that deer in a bean field
no
and was
kidding.
able to get permission on it. And I got lucky enough to kill him, the first day,
Heck
first
yeah,
sit.
dude.
So it was kind of cool to just see that come
That
full
was 2
circle.
years ago.
Yeah, that was 2024.
4. Got you.
And there was another big deer on that farm that she was chasing. I mean, he was probably in the mid 60s and had several encounters with him, just never within bow range. And then rifle season came around and never could. He would daylight when we couldn't be there. And I'm assuming he got shot. He made it to the second to last day of the CWD season and never did see him again. No sheds. Didn't show up this year. So I'm assuming he got. But
Yeah.
it was kind of a cool property for us to be able to pick up, and we went and talked to Leonard together, our whole family and everything. Not I don't use my son as a pawn because
I would be like,
Yeah,
see
yeah.
my baby.
But
Hey, that's what, my son owns his own electric company.
hmm
We obviously own the camo company. So we're like, hey, we can trade camo, we can trade electrical work. Actually, he got us some property to hunt just northeast of Liberty. And that's how it come about. The guy's building a house, and my son's business is going to do all the electrical work and whatnot. And so they were out there talking one day, and the guy was like, man, this place is overrun for deer. And he's got putting in fruit trees and gardens and stuff. So he's like, this place is overrun with deer. I'm gonna have to get some of them out of here. And my son's like, so he got us permission, which I'm very grateful for. And I'll ride that. I'll grab a hold of his coattails and be like, hey, Mr. Electrician, let's go. So and he actually shot a horse of a doe off of that property. I had an encounter with a huge doe. We've got several pictures of a super nice buck out there, and we think he made it through the season. So we'll see what happens next year. But yeah, it's cool like that, man. Having something to be like, will and deal. I don't know why I went on that rant. You were talking about using your. I'll use my son I'll take one of my grandkids and be like, see my poor grandson? He has nowhere to hunt. He's 2. I'm like, but he really wants to hunt.
And it's kind of ironic because the house we bought ended up being neighbors with the people, so it worked out. I
Nice.
mean, country neighbors, they're
Yeah.
the next road over or whatever. But yeah, that's the bad thing about being a taxidermist. I don't really all the people I deal with already hunt, so I can't really trade much out.
Yeah, facts. That's funny. So up there where you live, years ago, there was a property. I couldn't tell you even where it was at, but it was at the end of a dead end road, and it was just an old rundown farmhouse. Sat on a big lot, but then it had, I think it was 15 or 28, or no, sorry, it was 10 acres that went with it, and it had a couple outbuildings and whatnot, and it was a crazy price. So I was like, can I make that drive to Kansas City every day from there? And I thought I could do it. And every time I went up to the house, I always seen deer or turkey in the yard. When we come down there, it was the last house on this dead end road, which I loved.
Yeah, that's nice.
Well, I always seen animals in the yard. And then the guy that owned he owned like 200 acres basically that went around it. And I found out that he had sold these 10 acres to somebody,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why he didn't have it no more. So, but anyway, we got to talking, and I had permission to hunt all his if I bought that house, So I'm like, this is heaven, you know what I mean? And so we put an offer in on the house, and like the next day, I found out somebody had put an offer in before us and beat us to it. So I'm like, well, crap. Then like a couple days later, the deal fell through. So I'm like, well, let's put an offer in. Oh, a couple days, somebody beat you to it. I'm like, are you kidding me, man? This happened like 3 times. And anyway, I didn't end up with a house. So, but I always think, man, that would have been the perfect spot. That area where you live
Mm-hmm.
is a great spot to be, I think, for a deer hunter, turkey hunter. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, and like anywhere in the state, our turkey numbers seem like they fluctuate quite a bit.
yeah,
But there's a lot of deer there. It's good caliber deer too. It's to me kind of reminds me, which obviously it's not far, but kind of like Kansas. A lot better age structure, but not as big in numbers. To where
Yeah.
you go further east in the state, and you'll as long as it seems like you're north of I-70, you can run into the herds and gobs of deer.
yeah,
And they're still super. There's giants but you'll see a lot of yearling 2-year-old bucks. To where some of the farms I hunt, you'll see one or two, but like almost every farm's got a 4-year-old on it, you know, so the structure's really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Well, Tyler, I don't want to take up much more of your time, man. I don't know how long. I forgot
Yeah,
to
I-
set my timer, so I have no idea how long we've been on here.
yeah, I have no idea.
But it's been, I mean, the conversations, I absolutely love it. You know, it's great talking to you, man. Great. I'm so glad you brought all this eye candy, man. You have some beautiful sheds and some beautiful mounts, man. And you're definitely a blessed man. Seems like you have a great family, and you're a great hunter, and you love what you do. And I think it's super cool, man. I'm super proud, super honored to meet you. You know what I mean?
Well, I appreciate you having me down, and yeah, it's pretty much, if you met my wife, she would complain about it, even though she does hunt. It's pretty much all I do is live and breathe it. So
Yeah, that's I guarantee you, my wife's like, especially the last year since got into the camo business or whatever. My whole I'm a mailman by day, so it used to be bad. Now it's really bad. You know what I mean? So, but she deals with it. She's always along for the ride, and she's got a couple girlfriends that hunt and whatnot, and so she's a little more into it than last year and the year before. So I'm like, every year she's getting a little more. Where I'm like, if I can get her in a bow,
it's fun. I mean, and that's what we just go out in the summer and shoot in the
yeah,
evenings,
that's
and
what I think
it's
that
fun.
that would be so cool just to go out in the backyard and just shoot. You know what I mean? Like, not even if you don't want to go hunt, we can just go shoot and have a good time. You know, so
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get her there. You know, but we'll see. But no, I don't. It's been an honor.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Like I said, I know it was a heck of a drive for you, man. So I really appreciate you coming, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah. Anytime. I love talking deer. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
That's me. That's why
I've lived for it. So
That's why I love to hear stories. I love to meet new people, you know what I'm saying? And just awesome stories, you know. And it's I love the real life stuff. Like, you can watch some stuff and whatever, and you see all the successes and like a lot of the shows you watch, you don't see all the stuff that really happens. You see the good
Oh, yeah.
stuff. And so one thing I love about this is it's just so real, you know. Just like you talking about, you know, shooting over the one in Kansas, or letting an arrow fly when you get in your stand, or you know, just the real life stuff, the stuff that happens to every single one of us. It doesn't get talked about a lot sometimes. Like, I don't talk about, if I shoot at a deer, if I shoot at a deer and I miss it and it takes off and I don't get another shot at it, I don't come home and call my friends and be like, yeah, I shot. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Exactly.
no, it was a rough day. You know, that was it.
Exactly.
So I love to hear the real life stuff, you know, and that's what I wanted to happen. Like, when I was envisioning, when I was creating this atmosphere, I was like, I just want the real talk, the misses, the hits, the everything. And so I'm super cool. I think it's great to hear that stuff, and I think people enjoy it. You know, I think so anyway. You know, anybody I
yeah.
talk to, they're like, yeah, I love to hear that stuff. You know, the guy I actually just posted this video today, Daniel Tyler.
Yeah, I saw the post. I hadn't listened to it yet.
Yeah,
but
that dude, he hunting on the ground, you know, and monster buck coming towards him, and he shoots, and he's misranged him. He shoots right over his back. The deer takes off into the back into the cornfield or bean. I forget what he said now, and it's almost in. You know, he said there's like 10 minutes left to daylight, you know, shooting light, and so he's like, it's over. I had my opportunity at this buck, and he said he turned his head, and all you can see is tines coming towards him again. It's the same buck. So he gets another shot and he smokes him, you know. So I'm like, that's such a great story, dude.
Yeah,
Man,
that's unbelievable.
that don't really happen, you know what I mean? But apparently it does.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened to me where I get the second shot, but it will happen, I guarantee it.
Yeah,
But
this year's the first year I've had it happen where I've got another opportunity. I've missed some deer, and
yeah.
but
Hey, thank you again, man. I appreciate it. Everybody out there watching, man, I appreciate you guys checking us out. I want to ask you to please hit that subscribe button. We just try to grow a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope we were entertaining for you, and maybe you learned a tip or trick and somewhere along the way, and that you can use in your arsenal, you know what I mean? But thank you again. Appreciate you being here, man. And as always, blend better, hunt harder.
Every season brings us back for more. blood trails and bucktails, round the fire where the whiskey sails. Every heart's a story, every shot's a chance. What's your story to tell?